That leaves just you in the squadron, Dave. I mean of the old 1940 mob.
I think that's always worried me about being one of the few is the way we keep on getting fewer.
Yeah.
How we keep getting fewer. I can certainly commiserate with Sir Richard Burton there. The thing that worries me or bothers me is how we keep getting fewer. I wanted to make this video, and then again I didn't want to make it. Because just in the past couple of weeks, I had two friends pass away. One was a Disney friend called Chip Christofides. I'm hoping doing that hope I'm doing that name justice, Chris or Chip. See, I almost screwed up. Almost called like when we worked together, I used to do the same thing to him. His name's Chip. Actually, his name was Matthew, but everybody called him Chip. And another friend of mine, Phil Sletzer, who was a friend, kind of like a camping buddy. I didn't really see much of Phil unless he had an event at his house or my buddy Corbin had an event at his house, or we went camping. We didn't hang out together and go to dinner and see movies and stuff like that. But we were pretty good friends. I met Phil through his wife. I knew Phil's wife Debbie before he knew her, and I met Debbie through Corbin. So let's just say, like 50 years ago. Anyway, Chris was a pretty good guy. When he went to work for the Walt Disney Company and RT&P, Resort Transportation and Parking, I'm pretty sure I trained him. I have very clear recollection of me training him, but that was a long time ago. But I remember training him. And I remember him doing all right. He was a good cast member. He was very bubbly, very up-tempo, um, had good things to say to everybody, really worked well with the guests. And to be honest, if you and Chip were scheduled to work the same shift in the same area, you knew you were going to have a pretty good afternoon. Because Chip was a good guy. I'm sorry I wasn't a better friend to him. But Chip was a pretty good guy. And unfortunately, according to his family, he hadn't been doing well the past couple of years. He was in declining health. And he was 76 when he passed. And you guys know I'm 70. So when people close to your age start passing away, it hits you hard. Trust me. Phil, on the other hand, was younger than me. I don't know exactly how much younger, but I know it was younger. Once again, I could be mistaken. Phil was a great guy. I always had a lot of fun when I was around Phil. He could tell a joke. He could tell a story. He he was a great guy around a campfire. Um, he made friends easy. At least I feel he did. I mean, I can tell you the first time I met him, we were camping at a place we call the bunker, and we were inside the bunker. It was really chilly outside, and we put an old army blanket over the opening to the bunker, and in the back we had this old wood stove made out of a oil drum, and it was barely blazing away and making the inside of the bunker less cold than it was outside. And Jimmy was on one side and I was on the other. We were both sitting in lawn chairs, and it wasn't a far distance, only like 10 feet apart. But we were, we were like 5 feet apart. And we were sitting there talking to each other, and all of a sudden, we knew Corbin was bringing people that I knew Corbin was bringing people I had never met, right? So this guy walks through the door, holding a lawn chair, and he looks around, and he opens the lawn chair, and he flops it down next to Jimmy, and he sits down in it, and he leans across, and he sticks his hand out and says, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Phil." I said, "Hey, I'm Bill." And he goes, "Oh, Phil and Bill, man. Hope people don't get us confused." So he says, "Yeah, I came out with Corbin, this first time at the bunker." And I think one of his sons came in the door and said, "This is the bunker? What a dump." And Phil looked at his kid and said, "In some countries, this is a palace." And I knew right then I kind of liked the guy. So he turns to Jimmy, and Jimmy's sitting there smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer. And he looks at Jimmy and goes, "Hey, can I bum a smoke?" And Jimmy goes, "Sure." He reaches into his pocket and hands Phil a smoke and lights the smoke for him. And Jimmy goes, "You want a beer?" And Phil goes, "Yeah." So Jimmy hands Phil a beer, and Phil opens it. He takes a drink, and he sits there for a couple of seconds, and his lawn chair had a little cup holder. He stuck the beer in the cup holder and said, "I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to get a jacket." So he takes off out the bunker, and I look at Jimmy and I said, "So how long have you known Phil?" And Jimmy just takes a hit off his cigarette and goes, "Oh, just now, just met him right now, same time you did." "And you already handed him smokes and beers?" Jimmy's like, "Seems like a good guy." So Phil comes back, and he's showing Jimmy and I his brand new leather tool, that Leatherman tool that he had just gotten that day. So a buddy of mine, John, looks at it and says, "Hey, can I borrow that for a second?" Now, earlier that night, John and I were working on some kind of concoction with black powder and 223 shells and cannon fuse, right? So John takes the Leatherman tool, bears down on it to crimp the neck of the 223 shell closed around the cannon fuse. And one of the jaws on the Leatherman tool breaks off and sails into the dirt. And John looks at the Leatherman tool and goes, "Oh, fudge." But he didn't say fudge. And Phil looks at him and goes, "That's okay. I'll just take it back to where I bought it and they'll give me a new one. It's got a lifetime warranty. Kind of like a Craftsman tool." And that was the beginning of a pretty long friendship. Always fun to be around. Always a good guy. If there's anything Phil liked, it was a smoke and a. Though he had quit smoking. Um, um, I'm not going to get into what was wrong with him. That's not my place to do that. But he quit smoking a while back, and but he still liked a good drink. You know. Phil was a good guy, and Chip was a good guy. Um, Not much more I could say about him. The type of people that when you were with him, you had a good time. So, I got a little Redneck Riviera, and I'm sure Phil would appreciate the name of that whiskey. And I'm going to pour me a touch. And I'm going to toast Chip and Phil. Chip, you're a good guy. And I'm sure you're going to be missed by your friends and your family. And I know you made a positive impact on God knows how many guests coming to the park. And to Phil, who I knew was a veteran of the United States Navy, I'm going to say a toast that you've heard me say several times on this channel. To the Army and the Navy and the battles they have won. Here's to the flag of freedom, whose colors never run. And may the wings of liberty never lose a feather. And I'm going to give you Patton's highest praise, Phil. The highest praise that one person who's a veteran can give to another person who's a veteran. Phil, you were a good soldier. I know you're in the Navy, but hey. People often say, when a door closes, a window opens. And just a short time after Phil passed, my friend Corbin's son, Devin, was blessed with a second child, little Levi, like the day before yesterday. So, little Levi, may you have a long, healthy, happy, prosperous life. So my granddaughter used to drink after she would drink and drink when she was little. Well, folks, that's about it. I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the company of these people. I feel kind of bad that I didn't go to Chip's memorial, but I've known so many people who have passed away the past year and a half. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I'm so tired of. I'm just tired of that. But what can you do? So, patrol members, I want to thank you for watching this. I want to thank you for joining me. And until next time, later, Mater.
Well, that's it. It's game time. I had a speech prepared, but I guess I forgot it. There are some lines from Julius Caesar. If a man were to know the end of this day's business ere it come, but it suffices that the day will end, and then the end be known. And if we meet again, well, then we'll smile. And if not, then this parting was well made.